All right, so we got brand new footage that's going to clear up a lot of questions. It includes crystal clear footage of the water tower during the shooting. So is that going to confirm or deny someone being on the water tower? And we're also going to talk about the second shooter theory coming from a window at ground level. We got a lot to cover. Let's go. All right, so besides the water tower, we now have really good footage of the front side of that building, or at least the side that's facing Trump, where he was shooting from. And I've seen a lot of comments that have indicated that people believe that that's where the actual second shooter was, not behind him. We covered that in the last video. And on that video, there are literally thousands of comments talking about, no, that's not where the second shooter was. The second shooter was coming from the ground level, one of those windows. I think we're going to be able to answer your questions pretty definitively on that matter. But again, you guys are going to let me know. We're also going to go through some of your comments, answer some of your questions, and I'm sharing kind of a representation of what I see a lot of comments of. Hopefully that makes sense. I genuinely want this channel to be a collection point of people that are earnest about finding out the truth and holding our government accountable. Not just on this matter, but in many matters of the past, and definitely more that are going to be coming in the future. On this matter specifically, I do want this channel to be where we can share different ideas so we can explore, confirm, or deny different theories. And I'm also seeing a lot of new theories in the comments. Some of them are pretty out there, but regardless of what I think about those ideas, if I disagree with them, agree with them, I think they're ridiculous, I'm going to do my best to share everybody's opinion, or as much as I can within reason, right? We may never get to the bottom of this, but what I think this video and many other people's videos and channels are doing right now is we're creating a record. And speaking of sharing ideas, make sure you join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time right here on YouTube and Rumble for our live Dangerous Liberty podcast, where we're going to be talking about this subject for a while, but we also talk about guns, gear, training, politics. We have special guests on all the time. And most importantly, you get to join in on the conversation. We're going to read your comments. We're going to take your questions, and it's a lot of fun. So come see us this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, YouTube and Rumble. All right, so let's go through some of your comments and questions. What if the second shooter was positioned in the ground floor window of the building directly underneath Crooks? Both trajectories would line up consistently with Mike Bell's analysis. Any casings would fall inside and quickly collected. 6 Hour 7929, John Cullen also discusses theory that snipers were shooting from a window in Building 9 directly under and aligned with Crook's body. This makes more sense to me for the trajectory and elevation of the shooter, considering Trump was about at the 10-foot mark. There's some more stuff there, but you get the point. Same theory. Tammy Williams-Kiefer says the second shooter had to be in the window directly in line and underneath Crooks in the same building. It lines up with the upper trajectory of the shots. The people in the stand who got shot were higher than Trump. Also, the bullet that was photographed was more parallel and downward. We're definitely going to explore that in depth tonight. We're going to talk about not only the trajectory, but also the elevation. I do think some of the camera angles from the footage that we saw from that event basically give a slight optical illusion regarding people's position in relation to Trump, but we'll cover all that. Viper Venom 13 says the evidence that the trajectories doesn't match a shooter from the window are not valid. All that proves is that the missing shots that hit the people in the crowd were not coming from the window. Those are probably Crook's shots. But the one that hit Trump in the ear might have been coming from that window, and we don't know what the backstop was. I still think the second shooter at the window theory is very plausible. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the information that we do have that I think is very solid, and we're going to take a look at that first trajectory especially. I do think that's the most important one, and we are going to confirm or deny his suspicions one way or the other. So let's take a look at that in just a second. All right, Troy's address says, why was the suspected shooter lying dead approximately 6 feet from his rifle? What is going to happen no matter what, and this is military law enforcement standard operating procedure, is that if I go up on a suspect, so if I was the responding officer that finally got on the roof and went over there and I saw Crooks was lying there dead, or I thought he was dead, the first thing that anyone is going to do is remove that rifle from within reach of that suspect, whether we think they're dead or alive at the moment or not. That is standard operating procedure, and that is going to happen. So one of the things that you'll notice if you watch the video with law enforcement up on the roof is that you can see Crooks there, about half of his body, and you can see that he's in boxer shorts. His pants have been removed. They also talk about in that video, hey, there was somebody up there treating him. I think they reference an aid bag or a trauma kit that is over by the edge of the roof further away.
Is that all your stuff?
That was one of our
Yeah, so someone came up looking to treat him.
They're gonna get up there, they're gonna attempt to treat him. They're gonna get him what we call trauma naked, remove his clothes. Even if the back of his head is blown off, that's just what they're probably gonna do. Maybe they just pulled his pants off, rolled him over, saw how bad the trauma was to the back of his head, and went about their day. But whether it's law enforcement or EMTs first on the scene, first thing they're gonna do is remove the weapon within reach of Crooks, and that's just normal. Whatever this says, 9072, he wasn't on the water tower. He was in the second story building directly behind the Patsy. The problem with that is that there is no window directly behind the Patsy. We already talked about that. That window is much further down. And currently what we know about the trajectories, those don't line up, and we're gonna hit that again. All right, here's another one from Chris Free S5K. I don't believe Crooks fired the first 3 rounds. More than likely came from the window directly below him. Guy in the bleachers was higher than Trump. Trajectory from Crooks would be angled slightly down. 2 parts to that aren't necessarily true. First of all, the trajectory may not be angled slightly down. Secondly, it may not be angled slightly down enough to matter. And then thirdly, we don't know that the bleachers were actually higher than Trump. What we're seeing is a lot of low camera angles looking at Trump, and we're seeing those bleachers in the background. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is get on the same page and talk about this timeline and hopefully come to some sort of consensus on how the events took place. Because I see a lot of people down in the comments, their timelines are all screwy. And of course, they're gonna come to bad conclusions when they think this person was shot first or this happened first, or the events are just jumbled up in their heads to the point where I started having to write things down because after reading all these things, it started to confuse me. I had to go back and constantly check. So this is what we're gonna do. Number one, we're gonna take a look at the shots fired from this new video. We have this video very close to where the shots are coming from. And I think it provides a lot of clarity in many different topics, and we're gonna hit them all tonight as quickly as possible. So what we have there is the first 3 shots. Trump goes down, there's a slight delay, followed up by 5 more shots, fired much more rapidly, and then the 9th shot, which is shot from the Secret Service counter sniper team. All right, so now we're gonna play a slightly longer clip, and I've included a stopwatch at the top, so we know exactly from the time the shooting starts to the time the shooting ends, and this clip is gonna include the 10th shot from, well, we'll talk about that. All right, I do believe that that final shot came from a local law enforcement sniper. I don't know where it hit. I don't know if it hit Crooks. We have no information on that whatsoever. I do think it's important to note exactly how much time it took for the counter sniper team to respond, so let's take a look at that. So it took 5.9 seconds from the first shot that Crooks fired till they put a bullet in his head from the counter sniper team. And by the way, I know there's seems to be a lot of mix up on this. That round came from the Southern sniper team, the furthest one away. I knew that on January 14th from sources within the Secret Service, and the official timeline that I was given from their response time was under 8 seconds. That's what I was told, under 8 seconds. So it was actually under 6 seconds. 5.9 seconds is the actual time it took them to respond. And then we have another 10 seconds and we hear another suppressed shot that, again, I believe came from local law enforcement. All right, so now let's talk about the first 3 shots because that's really important. All right, so the first 3 shots were fired in 1.51 seconds. That's not crazy fast, but it's not slow either. And remember, this guy was shooting through an unmagnified optic. Red dot could be 2 MOA, 3 MOA. I don't know what the red dot was. Doesn't really matter, but it's 140-ish yards. It's not a short distance for an unmagnified optic. This guy's up there. He's hot. The roof's hot. He's sweaty. He's stressed. He is scared. All these things are probably going through his head. And every time he squeezes off a round, he has to recover from the recoil, get back on target, and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind as we watch this video from Mike Bell. And folks, do not start critiquing these short clips of video that I've shared with Mike Bell. Make sure you go watch the full videos. He goes through meticulous detail. He takes all kinds of calculations. He has the stuff wiretight. And if you haven't watched the full video, don't start criticizing short little snippets where you only have 1/100th of the information of how he got there. I'm just showing this for context.
He was obviously aimed at the ex-president. And if we line it up through his ear, then what's interesting is that that's the line that just misses his ear. But if you carry on, you see that's the line that hits the piston of the hydraulic lift, which lines up perfectly with that thing gushing out all its oil, and this thing dropping really fast.
Yeah. So that,
and you can actually see all the oil. You can see all the oil lying over here afterwards. Massive oil stain.
All right, so the very first shot that has the most potential for accuracy and precision hit Trump's ear, David Dutch, and the piston on the forklift. That's what we see here. That is the first shot. So going back to one of those comments I read that we couldn't confirm trajectories, or trajectories didn't rule out a shot from another location on that first one especially, that can't be true, because if we have the first shot that hits those three things, Trump's ear, David Dutch, and this forklift piston, we have three things that line up that point back to one specific spot. So that is the only place that those rounds could have come from. So then we have the second and third shot to contend with. The second shot hit James Copenhaver, and the third shot hit Corey Comparatori, and let's take a look at that. All right, so right here we can see that first shot hitting Trump, hitting the forklift, hitting David Dutch. The second shot actually hit James Copenhaver to the left, from the shooter's perspective, to the left of Trump. And then we also hit Corey Comparatori, who's also to the left of Trump. Under stress, he's trying to manage recoil, recover his sight picture, and with a novice shooter, this is exactly what we'd expect to see. Those rounds going to the left of Trump. And all of these trajectories, I covered it in another video, Mike Bell does it more in depth in his video, but those trajectories all lead back to one position, and that is his position. So Crooks fired those three rounds fairly slow, but he's still under stress, and he's still off target quite a bit. But by the third round, Trump is down on the ground. He doesn't have his target in sight anymore. So what does he do? He rips off 5 rounds fairly rapidly. So Crooks fired those first 3 rounds in about 1.5 seconds. Pretty quick for an average shooter shooting 140 yards. And he didn't provide effective fire at what we assume his intended target was, right? He hit Trump only on the ear. So those next 5 shots were fired in 0.81 seconds with an average split time of 0.20. No evidence of impacts anywhere. He was firing erratically. I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm honestly not surprised by that at all. He was shooting very quickly and didn't hit anything. When you have a novice shooter shooting that quickly, he was probably launching those rounds off into space above the crowd. What we do know is they didn't hit anything. We have no evidence of impacts from those 5 rounds, period. So that's a fact. From there, we had a 9th shot. That was the Southern counter sniper team taking 1 shot that took him out in 5.9 seconds from first round to the time they took that shot. That is absolutely pretty quick. And I know there'll be people out there that criticize that, and that's fine. Just coming from a sniper background, I teach long range for a living, to find a target. And those guys were also positioned and looking the other way. So once they heard a call on the radio, they turned around, redirected their attention to that area, found a target that was barely sticking up above the roof line of that building, and they took a shot in 5.9 seconds. Now we can debate all the other stuff. There's definitely some failures there, there's no doubt about it, but to acquire a target and hit it in 5.9 seconds is pretty quick. And then 10 seconds later, we had another shot. I don't know if that was local law enforcement, or I don't know if that was the counter sniper team shooting another shot. I don't know, but there was definitely a 10th shot. All right, so I know sound analysis has been done to death in this, but we're going to take a quick look on that. Now that we have a audio video source that is much closer to the shooter, let's take a look at that and let's listen. You know, everybody's saying they can hear a difference in the gunshots. Let's take a look at that real quick. All right, so I can definitely hear a difference between the 9th shot and the rest. But folks, I want you to look at this waveform that we have here. We have these 3 shots that are fairly dispersed. Of course, we're gonna have different audio waves. They're gonna sound very distinct. Then we have these 5 shots that those sound waves are just crammed on top of each other. It is going to alter the sound of those. It's just going to sound slightly different. We're asking that microphone to process all this different sound. If you know anything about mics, they peak, especially at this distance, this close to a gunshot. So you're getting some distortion there. It's gonna sound slightly different. But you know, given the proximity of this is exactly what I would expect to see, hearing a single gun shoot 3 rounds and then it shoot a faster string of fire with 5 rounds. We'll play it one more time to see if you guys can hear a difference. So you guys tell me down in the comments what you guys think. And by the way, if you like content like this, make sure you like, subscribe, throw a comment down below. Go follow our other social media sites. We do a lot of cool stuff on there. And again, make sure you join us on Wednesday for a live podcast where you can tell me I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm right, or we're going to explore your different theories in real time during that podcast as well. All right, so let's address my favorite conspiracy, and that is the water tower. What we have here is fairly high resolution footage, very close to the water tower. This footage is 10 seconds prior to the actual shooting start. Tell me what you think.
Make yourself small, bro. I don't know what's going on.
All right, so we can see how thin the bottom piece of that is. If there was anybody behind there right now, 10 seconds prior to the first shots going off, we would definitely see them. And no one's gonna jump up there and get in position at 10 seconds prior to. You know, there's been all kinds of people saying down in the comments that there's proof of someone on the water tower. We've seen them with a gun, and they're standing on the water tower. All right, so we have the water tower right here, and I put a graphic down there that I try to get to the exact height of the rail. Those railings are gonna be around 40 inches. And there's also some drone footage I'm gonna throw in here. Number one, the air vent on top is not that tall. It's definitely not big enough to hide anybody. You would see their feet if they were down there. And then all I did was take that graphic, I put it up to the top there to show you that at most, that water tower is about 48 inches tall. It is not going to hide a 5-6 foot person shooting from that tower, especially dressed in black. Just wouldn't happen. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this new footage and address the second shooter from the ground floor theory shooting below crooks. That's what we're gonna do. Now this footage starts at 6:10, 1 minute before the shooting. Now he also has a timestamp on here that doesn't change. But with that being said, we're gonna see the entire side of that building below crooks that is facing Trump. I want you to take a hard look at this, use your good observation skills, and tell me what you see or what you think.
If he was doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this.
There's fucking cops surrounding this whole entire fucking building right now.
There's something going on in this building.
And that I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator elected and to make sure
Oh my
we
God.
get back to the White House, because if we do, we're going to give America.
There's somebody in this building.
We're going to make it. And it's not easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. It's much more preventative. We have to be. You know, we have been so in recorded history with the best order. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they could do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I'd love to see? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter? This is not going to do this. This is try and explain. Oh, this is you guys are doing it. They're getting better at the time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow at the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point. That comes right from the government services. Comes right out of border control. Take a look at that. That arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever recorded in the country.
Somebody want to say, Sammy.
Make yourself small, bro. I don't know what's going on.
Get down, guys. Get down. Yeah, just get down. Get behind this tree with me. Get behind this tree.
Get behind this tree, guys. No.
I'm just safe back here.
Yeah, here.
Fucking pick that dude off.
Did they pick him off?
Fuck yeah, I saw a big poop of hair go up in the air.
Oh,
They
fuck
shot him right in the
yeah.
head.
Fuck yeah.
Big poop of hair.
Holy shit, guys.
What happened
That's
over here?
fucking
You got four
crazy.
shots off. Are you fucking shitting me?
This is fucking crazy, dude. I can't believe
Dude,
I
this
got
is
all
national fucking news.
I can't believe I got all that on camera, dude. I was in the middle of it. Kill confirmed, he said.
Nobody said kill confirmed?
He said kill confirmed.
So looking back at this footage, do we see any open windows or any indication that as law enforcement is looking at these windows, that they see something open, see something suspicious from right there? Now look at all these people staring at this building. They know something's up. Do you think there's any possibility that one of those windows are open or they see movement in there or anything like that? And beyond that, even if they turn back around, which it looks like many of them do in just a second, the moment that somebody screams, he's got a gun, prior to the shots going off, they're going to turn around, be looking at this building. If there was muzzle flashes, if there was other shots being fired out of there. And, you know, given their proximity to this building, especially the guy using the phone, if there were rounds going off from inside that building, you would be able to tell whether or not there were rounds coming from inside the building or on top of the building. And the guy with this phone that's recording all this, he's looking at the building the entire time. I think it is highly, highly implausible that rounds came from inside that building. I just think there was too many people looking at it at the time that it goes off. All right, so we covered a lot, and I hope that was helpful. I hope that was informative. I think this new footage just provides us a lot of new information, provides us new perspective on the building as the shooting was taking place, as well as the water tower moments before. I'm sure I left some things out. I'm sure I got some things wrong. And if I did, I'm sure that you're going to leave that down in the comments and let me know. But make sure you join us Wednesdays as well. That way we can, confirm or deny information in real time as we talk through some of your theories or other theories that are out there. But anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, throw a comment down below, hit that bell icon so that you know when we make new content. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.